Welcome back. You want to get informed quickly and thoroughly? Well, you're in the right place.
Today we're doing a deep dive into a specific historical conflict, the Indonesia-Malaysia Confrontation.
That's right, often called Konfrontasi. It ran roughly from 1963 to 1966.
And we've been digging into some historical texts to understand it better. The core issue: Indonesia, under President Sukarno, really opposed the formation of Malaysia.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack why this happened, what the conflict actually involved, and what its lasting significance is for the region.
Sounds good.
So let's dive straight in. Why was Indonesia so set against Malaysia being formed back in '63?
Well, the Federation of Malaysia brought together several former British territories: Malaya, Singapore, Sarawak, and North Borneo, which we now know as Sabah.
Okay.
From Indonesia's viewpoint, and especially Sukarno's, this looked a lot like neo-colonialism. Like the British were just repackaging their influence.
So they saw it as Britain maintaining control indirectly.
Precisely. And potentially encircling Indonesia, destabilizing the region from their perspective. Plus, you have Sukarno's own ambitions.
Right. Tell us about that.
Sukarno really envisioned Indonesia as, well, a major regional power, a leader for the newly independent nations, pushing back against lingering Western influence in Southeast Asia.
So Konfrontasi was partly about asserting Indonesia's place on the world stage.
Yeah.
Against this perceived Western project.
Exactly. It fit neatly into that anti-colonial narrative that was very powerful within Indonesia at the time. It wasn't just about the map changing.
Got it. Now let's talk about the conflict itself. When we hear confrontation, we might think big battles, but that wasn't really the case here, was it?
No, not in a conventional sense. It was what we'd call a low-intensity conflict, a lot of political tension, diplomatic maneuvering, but also military elements.
Military elements like?
Primarily, Indonesia supporting insurgent groups operating inside Malaysia, particularly in Borneo, on the island they share.
So funding and arming fighters, what kind of tactics?
Yeah, support like that. And the tactics were very much guerrilla warfare, sabotage operations, ambushes against Malaysian and Commonwealth forces.
Right, and Borneo's terrain-dense jungle, right. That must have played a huge role.
Absolutely. It's incredibly challenging terrain for conventional armies, but, almost ideal for guerrilla fighters who know the land.
So how did the newly formed Malaysia handle this? That sounds like a serious threat right from the start.
They weren't alone. Malaysia received significant military help from the UK, but also other Commonwealth nations. Australia and New Zealand were key players.
What kind of help are we talking about? Boots on the ground?
Yes, some direct deployments, but also crucial intelligence sharing, psychological warfare operations to counter the insurgency, training, logistics, a whole package of support.
So quite a complex, multifaceted response then. It sounds messy.
It definitely was. Not large-scale battles, but constant tensions, small-scale clashes, and a significant political dimension running alongside it all.
And this went on for about 3 years. What finally brought Konfrontasi to an end?
The real turning point came inside Indonesia itself. 1965 saw massive political upheaval.
Okay.
There was an alleged coup attempt, a huge anti-communist purge, and ultimately, General Suharto effectively took power from Sukarno.
Right. A major shift in
A
terms.
massive shift.
Yeah.
And Suharto's New Order government had different priorities. They wanted internal stability, economic recovery, and, crucially, to mend fences with neighbors. Confrontation was costly and wasn't really achieving its aims anymore.
So new leadership, new foreign policy, basically.
Essentially, yes. By August 1966, Indonesia officially ended Konfrontasi and signed an agreement with Malaysia, normalizing relations.
So wrapping this up then, key takeaways. Indonesia, under Sukarno, opposed Malaysia's formation, seeing it as neo-colonialism and a challenge to its own regional ambitions.
Check.
The conflict itself was low intensity, marked by guerrilla tactics in Borneo, backed by Indonesia, and countered by Malaysia with strong Commonwealth support.
Right.
And it finally ended because of major political changes within Indonesia, specifically the rise of Suharto.
That covers the main points. And it's worth stressing, I think, that even though direct combat was relatively limited compared to other wars, the political and diplomatic shockwaves were significant.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And maybe here's a thought to leave you with. Consider how these kinds of regional disputes, even those without massive battles, can fundamentally redraw political maps and shape the long-term relationships between countries.
Yeah. It makes you look at current geopolitical situations, perhaps, a little differently. Understanding how influence is projected, how regional balances shift. It's not always about overt warfare.
Exactly. That history continues to echo.
Definitely.
If you want to dig deeper into Konfrontasi, we've put some useful links in the show notes. Wikipedia's got a good overview, and resources from the Australian War Memorial and NZ History offer perspectives from the Commonwealth involvement.
Worth checking out if this sparked your interest.
Absolutely. Well, that's all for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.